At the time I write this, I had originally seen this movie when it debuted in theaters here in America on October 5th, 2017. I caught the Japanese dub showing, but it still had the preview of the English dubcast attached to it, which actually confused me.
Wish I had in me, and the loving support from the fans has been amazing. It's inspiring, and it makes me so happy that you're gonna see this movie because it's gonna be so much fun.
Hey there, Izuna.
Yes, what now?
One day, they receive a mysterious challenge to a digital chess game, and when Blank wins, the two are given an offer.
I thought this was a Japanese dub version. Not that I have anything against the English dub, I just saw No Game No Life in Japanese, which is why I wanted to watch the movie in Japanese, but it was still interesting to have that attached to it. I'm a fan of No Game No Life. I haven't read the light novels or the manga, but I really enjoyed the anime. Actually, I just rewatched it recently, which kind of led me to wanting to talk about this movie again. Bear in mind, there will be no spoilers aside from already established plot points and some characters. Also, this is not a review. I'm not trained to critically analyze any form of media, so everything I say about Zero is based solely on my opinion. Zero is a prequel to the main No Game No Life series, taking place 6,000 years before the main story and depicts the often mentioned Great War that every known race in the series took part in. The story follows an humanity, humans in a No Game No Life world, called Riku, who leads a band of survivors trying their best to get by as they are the weakest race and can barely partake in the war themselves. Riku is joined by Corone Dola, ancestor to Stephanie Dola from the main series, eventually meets up with an ex-machina who they later name Shuvi. Together, Riku and Shuvi learn more about each other and attempt to both save humanity from extinction and end the war. That's kind of a vague plot synopsis, but I really don't want to spoil this movie for anyone who even has a small interest in watching. I thought the story was well put together and actually had a surprisingly good amount of character development for its runtime. The action sequences in it, though few, are pretty explosive and actually a real spectacle to watch in theaters. It does have that 3D, 2D blend, but it's not as jarring as it was in Resurrection F, at least for me. As a fan as well, it was great getting to see the races at war. In No Game No Life, in case you didn't know, everything was solved through some type of game. Disputes, wars, everything had to be solved through competition that did away with unnecessary violence. However, this movie explores the time period before those rules. You see how the races were, how they fought, how they strategized, how vicious a lot of them actually were prior to the pledges being established. I went into this with relatively low expectations. Like I said, I enjoyed No Game No Life, but I wasn't expecting too much out of a movie based on it. I will recall that when I walked out of the theater and got into my car, I immediately slammed the wheel and yelled to myself that had no right to be as good as it was. I came out of this movie the same way I came out of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, excited and surprised at what I saw. Luckily too, I saw Zero with a theater full of fans. A lot of pre-talk about wanting a season 2 and the whole place clapping and cheering once the movie was over. It was really cool. It shows that movies like this really can flourish in America, and I'm just happy that so many anime movies are being released out here, even if it's only for like a couple days. I'm not into giving number ratings, obviously, because this isn't a review show or anything, but I still want to give my opinion on whether you should watch it or not, so No Game No Life definitely gets approved from me. It's worth watching, especially if you're a fan of No Game No Life, but also if you're into anime in general. I think Zero will really surprise you. The movie has its tropes, just kind of like a couple jokes here and there, but the movie's about sacrifices, understanding, and banding together no matter how tough things might look. It's serious and kind of dark, but it can still pull off funny and lighthearted moments when it needs to. It's not too serious, but it's also not too jokey. I'm excited for when this movie comes out on home release, which I hope it will. I'm sure it will because it came out in theaters, so I don't see why it wouldn't. But till then, I'm not really sure how you can watch this movie. I think it might have been released in Japan. So if you have any way to watch this movie, I mean, I'm not gonna be pro pirate right now or anything, but if you can watch this movie somehow, you really should. It's amazing. Isn't it weird that the main character of No Game No Life is Sora, and the main character of Zero is Riku? Did anyone else think that was odd?